Okay, so welcome to the deep dive. You're here because you want to really get to the heart of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cut through the noise,
Yeah.
get to what really matters.
That's it.
And today we're doing exactly that, extracting key insights
Right.
from material that you have flagged as essential
Yep.
for understanding how to gain a real advantage over your competition or whatever it is you're working on.
Yeah, your challenges.
So today we are focusing
We're
on
diving into,
Sun Tzu's
that's right,
The Art of War,
The Art of War.
specifically Chapter 6, Weak Points and Strong.
Yes, it's really interesting how this ancient text,
It's so old.
continues to offer such sharp perspectives on any competitive situation that you can think of. I mean, we're not just looking at historical strategy here.
No.
I mean, the principles that we're going to unpack today offer surprisingly practical insight for navigating modern challenges, whether you're in business or personal development or any field where you're looking for an edge.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to do today.
Yes.
Our mission in this deep dive is to move beyond just understanding what Sun Tzu said.
Yeah, just the words on the page.
And really get to
the actionable
core of his wisdom on exploiting weaknesses and leveraging strength.
Right.
We want to give you something that you can use.
Exactly, something practical.
Something you can immediately apply.
That's it.
So let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
The chapter opens with this powerful idea about the advantage of being first.
Yes. Sun Tzu states that whoever arrives at the field, the situation first, and is prepared, has a significant advantage over someone who arrives second and has to rush into action.
Yeah, okay.
Think about it this way. Being proactive allows you to set the terms of engagement.
You're not reacting.
Yeah, you're not just responding.
You're coming in with a plan.
You've got a plan.
Yeah, it's like walking into a crucial meeting.
Yes.
Having already done all your research, formulated your strategy.
Ready.
Versus showing up and trying to figure things out on the fly.
Right. Winging it.
Yeah.
You're in a much stronger position.
In a much stronger position to influence the outcome.
To shape the outcome, yeah.
And that leads to this concept of
imposes
your will. Your will, yes. Sun Tzu says the skilled combatant imposes his will on the enemy, but does not allow the enemy's will to be imposed on him.
Powerful.
What does that look like in practice?
Well, at its heart, it's about control.
Okay.
Not necessarily like direct domination, but subtly shaping the environment.
Okay.
So that your preferred actions become the most logical or even inevitable for the other party.
Oh, that's interesting.
So consider a company that anticipates a market shift.
Right.
And invests early in a new technology.
Right. Okay.
They're not directly telling their competitors what to do, but they're creating a future where those competitors will likely have to follow their lead to remain relevant.
Yeah.
So the key insight here is to look for ways to proactively shape the landscape of your challenges rather than just responding to events.
Okay.
So be a little bit ahead of the game.
Be ahead.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's about creating the conditions for your success.
That's it.
Now, Sun Tzu talks about specific tactics
Okay.
for achieving this, like offering advantages to lure the opponent or inflicting damage to deter them.
Classic Sun Tzu.
Can you give us some modern examples of this?
Sure. The idea of offering advantages can be seen in strategic pricing or limited time offers that entice a competitor to make a move that ultimately benefits you.
Oh, okay.
Think of a company offering a loss leader product to draw customers away from a competitor's core offering.
Right.
Even if it means a short-term financial hit.
Yeah.
Inflicting damage is about setting clear boundaries and demonstrating the negative consequences of certain actions. So, for instance, in a negotiation, clearly, but calmly outlining the potential downsides of a particular course of action for the other party can be a form of inflicting damage that deters them.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating is the psychological element. You're influencing their choices by manipulating their perceptions of gain and loss.
So the text gives those vivid examples of harassing an enemy at ease or starving a well-supplied one.
Yes.
In today's world, that might translate to a smaller, agile company.
Yeah.
Constantly innovating and disrupting a larger, more established player.
Absolutely.
Keeping them constantly on the defensive, right?
Exactly. The disruptive innovation acts as the harassment, preventing the larger company from becoming complacent. And starving a well-supplied enemy could be akin to a startup focusing on a niche market that the larger company neglects. Gradually siphoning away potential customers and future growth. So the core principle is to target areas where the opponent is comfortable or overconfident and introduce elements of instability.
Like keep them
on their toes.
Guessing. Exactly.
Okay.
Then comes this crucial piece. Appear at points which the enemy must hasten to defend. March swiftly to places where you are not expected.
I love that.
This really highlights the element of surprise. And forcing the opponent into uncomfortable decisions.
Precisely. You're creating dilemmas for them. By being unpredictable. You prevent them from effectively concentrating their forces or resources. Think of a marketing campaign that suddenly shifts its focus to a new, unexpected channel, forcing competitors to react and potentially divert resources from their core strategies. So the key for you is to constantly assess where your opponent, whether it's a competitor, challenging situation, or even your own limitations, is most vulnerable and least prepared.
So know yourself.
Know yourself. Know your enemy.
Which leads directly to this powerful concept,
which is
attacking undefended places and defending unattackable positions.
Sun Tzu at his best.
This feels like a fundamental principle for anyone trying to achieve a goal efficiently.
It is, as Sun Tzu says, you ensure success by only attacking where there's no effective resistance, and you secure your own position by making it inherently difficult to target. So in modern terms, this means focusing your efforts where you have a clear advantage and avoiding direct confrontation in areas where you're likely to be outmatched. Strategic foresight is key here. Anticipating where vulnerabilities exist and where you can create a strong, impenetrable defense.
So the hallmark
of a truly skilled leader, according to Sun Tzu, is that the opponent doesn't even know where to attack or defend.
Doesn't even know.
That speaks to
That's mastery.
A very high level of strategic mastery and perhaps a bit of obfuscation.
A little bit of mystery. It's about achieving such a level of unpredictability that your opponent is constantly guessing and therefore unable to formulate a coherent strategy against you. Imagine a business with a highly adaptable strategy that can pivot quickly to exploit new opportunities or counter emerging threats before competitors even recognize the shift. That kind of agility creates a significant defensive and offensive advantage.
That's huge. This brings us to the fascinating realm of subtlety and deception. Sun Tzu talks about
being invisible.
Being invisible and inaudible. Essentially controlling the enemy's fate.
Shaping their destiny. How does one achieve that in a world of constant communication and information flow?
Well, invisible and inaudible in this context aren't about literal disappearance, but about controlling the information your opponent receives. It's about concealing your true intentions, your strengths, and your weaknesses. While potentially projecting a false image. Think of a company working on a breakthrough product in stealth mode. Revealing very little to the outside world until they're ready to launch. By controlling the narrative and limiting information leaks, they maintain a significant advantage.
Like Apple.
Exactly.
A new iPhone. And speed
is crucial.
Is presented as a crucial element of this, both in mounting an attack and in withdrawing if necessary.
Absolutely. Sun Tzu says that by attacking weak points, you can be absolutely irresistible. And by moving faster than the enemy can react, you can be safe from pursuit. In today's fast-paced environment, speed and agility are critical. A company that can quickly capitalize on market opportunities or adapt to changing consumer demands has a significant edge. The ability to move swiftly allows you to exploit vulnerabilities before they're shored up and to retreat from unfavorable situations before incurring significant losses.
Like get out while you can.
Exactly. Cut your losses.
Now, what if you do need to engage an enemy that's well entrenched?
Let's talk about that.
Sun Tzu suggests forcing them into a battle by attacking a point they absolutely must defend elsewhere.
So you're drawing them out.
That's a clever way to dictate the terms of engagement.
It is. It's about understanding their priorities
Okay.
and leveraging that knowledge to draw them into a conflict on your terms.
Mm-hmm.
Consider a political situation where one side targets a key constituency of the opposition,
Right.
forcing them to divert resources and attention to defend that front,
Yeah.
potentially weakening their position on other issues.
Yeah.
The underlying principle is to identify what your opponent values most.
Yeah.
And threaten that to provoke a reaction.
So you're not even necessarily attacking where you want to win.
Yeah, necessary.
You're attacking where they have to defend.
You're forcing their hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Conversely, how do you avoid a confrontation if you deem it unfavorable, even if you appear to be in a weaker position?
Interesting.
The text mentions creating something.
Something odd.
Odd and unaccountable to deter them.
Yes. This is about sowing doubt and hesitation in the enemy's mind.
Okay.
By acting in unexpected or seemingly irrational ways,
Right.
you can make them question their assumptions and become reluctant to attack for fear of the unknown consequences.
Like they don't know what you're going to do.
Know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think of a small business in a competitive market suddenly adopting a completely unconventional marketing strategy.
Okay, yeah.
Might confuse larger competitors. Yeah.
And make them hesitant to engage directly.
Right.
Unsure of the smaller company's true capabilities or intentions.
Yeah, like what are they up to?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's delve into this idea of concentrating versus dividing forces.
Okay.
Sun Tzu stresses the importance of knowing the enemy's disposition while keeping your own concealed.
Right.
Allowing you to concentrate your strength against their weaknesses.
Classic divide and conquer.
This feels like a core strategic principle applicable in almost any field.
It is fundamental.
Yeah.
Having superior strength at the decisive point is often the key to success.
Yeah.
By understanding where your opponent's resources or attention are spread thin while keeping your own focused.
Right.
You can create a local advantage that can outweigh an overall numerical disadvantage.
Yeah.
Imagine a project team concentrating its key personnel on a critical bottleneck.
Right.
Even if other areas of the project have fewer resources, that focused application of strength can be the difference between success and failure.
Yeah.
So you're putting your resources where they matter most.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this leads to the powerful dynamic
Of knowing.
of knowing and not knowing.
And not knowing, yes.
Revealing your intended target forces the enemy to spread their defenses,
Right.
creating vulnerabilities,
That sounds them weak.
while secrecy allows you to concentrate your attack where they least expect it.
Exactly. Information asymmetry is a powerful weapon.
Yeah.
If you telegraph your moves, your opponent can prepare and reinforce their defenses.
Yeah.
But if you keep your plans secret, they have to defend everywhere.
Yeah.
Which means they're effectively weak everywhere.
Right.
The analogy of the wings and the main body being unable to support each other,
Yeah.
if they don't know where the attack will come from,
Right.
highlights the paralysis that uncertainty can create.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's striking that Sun Tzu even addresses situations where the enemy has superior numbers,
Yes.
stating that this shall advantage them nothing in the matter of victory.
Interesting.
How is that possible?
Because sheer numbers don't guarantee success.
Okay.
Strategy deception, understanding the terrain, both literal and metaphorical, and exploiting vulnerabilities are far more critical,
Okay.
as Sun Tzu advises.
Okay.
You need to understand your opponent's plans, their movements, and their inherent weaknesses.
Right.
A numerically superior, but poorly led, demoralized, or strategically inept force
Right.
can be defeated by a smaller, more agile, and better directed one.
It's not just about the number of troops.
It's about how you use them.
It's how you use them.
Exactly.
So it's about forcing them to reveal those weaknesses, as the text says.
Yes.
Force him to reveal himself
Right.
so as to find out his vulnerable spots.
Find the cracks in the armor.
How do you practically do that?
Well, you can probe their defenses,
Okay.
create diversions, feign attacks in one area to see how they react in another.
Okay.
Think of a cybersecurity firm conducting penetration testing to identify vulnerabilities in a client's network. These probes force the system to reveal its weaknesses.
So you're like poking and prodding?
Poking and prodding testing.
Yeah.
Similarly, in a negotiation, you might make a seemingly unreasonable demand
Right.
to see how the other party responds,
Oh, interesting.
revealing their priorities and limitations.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And all of this hinges
Does.
on a careful
A careful
and honest comparison of your own strengths and weaknesses against those of your opponent.
Absolutely. You need a clear-eyed assessment of where you have an advantage and where you are vulnerable.
Right.
Understanding this differential allows you to formulate a strategy that maximizes your strengths against their weaknesses while minimizing your exposure to their strengths.
Okay.
It's about playing the odds in your favor by choosing your battles wisely.
So it's just a SWOT analysis.
Like a SWOT analysis, exactly.
Yeah. Sun Tzu then elevates this concept of concealing tactical dispositions to the highest level of skill.
To the highest level.
Protecting your plans from both spies.
From spies.
And astute adversaries.
And from people who are paying attention.
Yeah. It's about maintaining that element of surprise.
It is precisely.
Right.
The more you can keep your plans hidden, the less opportunity your opponent has to counter them.
Right.
This creates a significant psychological advantage as well, as they're left guessing and uncertain.
Yeah.
And as Sun Tzu notes, the truly skilled can even turn the enemy's own strategies against them.
Interesting.
By understanding their playbook better than they do themselves.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a fascinating idea, using their own tactics to defeat them.
It is.
But Sun Tzu points out that while many can see the tactics that lead to victory, few grasp the underlying strategy.
That's a great distinction.
What's the distinction he's drawing?
Okay, so tactics are the specific actions you take.
Okay.
The individual moves on the board.
Okay.
Strategy is the overarching plan that guides those moves. The long-term vision of how you will achieve your objective.
So tactics are like
the individual battle.
The small battles. And the strategy is the war.
The war. That's it.
Yeah.
Many can observe a successful tactic after the fact.
Right.
But understanding the strategic thinking that informed that tactic, the anticipation of future moves, the exploitation of broader trends.
Right.
That's the deeper level of comprehension.
Yeah. Okay, so you have to be thinking.
You got to be thinking ahead.
Steps ahead, yeah.
Okay.
And it sounds like that strategic thinking needs to be incredibly adaptable.
It does. Sun Tzu cautions against repeating successful tactics.
Right.
Emphasizing the need to adjust your methods to the ever-changing circumstances.
Because what worked yesterday
might not work today.
Or not work today, yeah.
Exactly. The competitive landscape is dynamic.
Yes.
What worked in one situation might be ineffective or even detrimental in another.
Oh, wow.
Rigidity can be a fatal flaw.
Oh, wow.
You need to be constantly evaluating the current situation and adjusting your approach accordingly.
Right.
So the key insight for you is to develop a flexible mindset and avoid becoming too attached to past successes.
Yeah, don't rest on your laurels.
Don't rest on your laurels.
Right.
That's right.
This leads to that beautiful and enduring analogy of water.
The water analogy?
Military tactics are like unto water.
I love this one.
For water in its natural course runs away from high places and hastens downwards.
Yes.
So in war, the way is to avoid what is strong and to strike at what is weak.
Such a powerful image.
Yeah.
Water is the ultimate symbol of adaptability, flowing around obstacles seeking the path of least resistance. Similarly, effective strategy avoids direct confrontation with superior strength and instead focuses on exploiting vulnerabilities.
Yeah, find the cracks.
Find the cracks.
Yeah.
And just as water takes no fixed shape,
right,
military or any competitive tactics should be fluid and responsive to the specific conditions.
So that ability to change and adapt.
Adapt and evolve. Yeah.
Yeah. So the ability to modify tactics in response to the opponent is what defines a truly effective leader.
It is.
What Sun Tzu terms a heaven-born captain.
Heaven-born captain. I love that.
It's about that constant calibration.
Precisely. It's the ability to read the situation, understand the opponent's reactions, and adjust your approach in real time to maintain the advantage and ultimately achieve your goal.
Yeah.
It's a dynamic and iterative process.
Yeah. You have to be paying attention.
Always pay attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The chapter concludes with this broader perspective on the influence of context and constant change.
Constant change.
Drawing parallels to the cyclical nature of the 5 elements and the seasons, reminding us that nothing remains dominant forever.
That's right.
I mean,
this is a crucial point to internalize.
It is.
Everything is in a state of flux.
Yeah.
Strengths can become weaknesses.
Right.
Advantages can disappear. And new opportunities will inevitably emerge.
Things change.
Things change.
Yeah.
Recognizing this constant cycle of change and cultivating the ability to adapt and evolve is essential for sustained success in any competitive environment.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Sun Tzu's wisdom on weak points and strong...
I feel like we've learned a lot.
The key takeaways for you are the importance of taking initiative.
Number one.
Deeply understanding and exploiting vulnerabilities, both your own and those of your opponent.
Know yourself, know your enemy.
Leveraging the power of deception and speed. The strategic imperative of concentrating your resources while compelling the other side to divide theirs.
Divide and conquer.
And perhaps most importantly, the absolute necessity of adaptability in the face of constant change.
Couldn't said it better myself.
It's a timeless guide to gaining an edge.
It really is. What remains so relevant is this emphasis on understanding the underlying dynamics of any competitive situation. Are you proactively shaping the environment, or are you simply reacting?
That's a good question.
Are you truly identifying and targeting the critical vulnerabilities?
You really got to think about that.
These are the questions Sun Tzu compels you to ask yourself.
And that brings us to our final thought for you to consider.
Okay.
Think about a significant challenge you're currently navigating.
Okay.
How might the principles we've discussed today, identifying weak points, maintaining flexibility in your approach, and deeply understanding the terrain of your situation offer you a fresh perspective?
A new way of looking at things.
Or a potential pathway to a solution.
Yeah.
Reflect on how these strategic concepts extend far beyond traditional warfare.
Beyond the battlefield.
And can be applied to almost any competitive endeavor you might face.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time.
See you then.